here's where, to me, it gets very dark. Thom Tillis has made precisely one public statement about this to the press, and that was just this morning, where he said it was January 6th that is the reason that he is not going to approve Ed Martin. And obviously, January 6th was a Fedsurrection. January 6th also happened, checks notes, 4 years and 4 months ago? It has no play today. Everyone who did not commit a violent crime that day has been pardoned by the President of the United States. There are no active cases when it comes to peaceful protesters. This is not just an ancient memory. It's settled. It's done. For that to be invoked as the reason to block Ed Martin suggests something much darker to me. Because if you actually parse that statement that Senator Thom Tillis said, he mentions towards the end of his remarks that he was apprehensive about Ed Martin pursuing a Fedsurrection theory of the case. He alludes to the fact that he says that there was no federal involvement. That was a sort of pipe dream. I'm paraphrasing what he says. And he slips that in there, and I find that very curious because he's a senator from North Carolina. And North Carolina is the heart of the, shall we say, Mark Milley deep state when it comes to all things psychological operations, domestic, a very nasty history of domestic interference in domestic politics.
Well, and
North
Ralph
Carolina
Barrick at UNC Chapel Hill doing the COVID gain-of-function stuff. Mike, if you can hang with us through the break. Plus,
okay.
We're also going to have AG Ken Paxton joining us shortly to get into all this. So, Mike, I want an update on what I think you are rightfully known for, all things NGOs, how they're funding all that resistance after we come back. If you can hang through, that'd be great. If you could just give me 2 minutes. You know, this audience is always wanting to be ahead of the curve on how they're sort of reformulating their resistance to Trump. Obviously, the NGOs taking a key role, if not the foremost role, maybe second to the judiciary, though, as you've alluded to, they're all conjoined. It's all one and the same. How have they sort of been rebranding? I know this is a topic you've been discussing a lot, but just give us some key pointers. I know they'll find everything you're talking on X too, but just give us some of the top line assessment.
I know this is not the question that you just. I know this is not the question you just asked, but I was just talking about Thom Tillis in North Carolina in January 6th, and if I only have a minute and a half, I'd like to just put something out there to put the button on that because I think it's extremely concerning and important, if you don't mind. North Carolina, where Thom Tillis is the senator, played an extraordinary role in January 6th itself, which is why it highly disturbs me that Senator Tillis would be the one who's blocking this from the Republican side. North Carolina is what houses Fort Bragg, the Special Operations, the Psychological Operations Center, and where organizing protest activity has been a hotbed of that exact place for coming up on 60 years now, going back to Lyman Lemnitzer and the Joint Chiefs of Staff domestic operations in the 1960s. But most importantly, North Carolina was the center of the Fedsurrection logistics for January 6th. Go back and read the Thomas Caldwell complaint from the Justice Department. There's the entire Eastern Seaboard presence of the Proud Boys, the Oath Keepers, and the Three Percenters, all 3 days before January 6th, starting January 3rd, met commonly in North Carolina, where the FBI and Justice Department allowed the, quote, quick reaction force bringing the guns and explosives to skate free as an unindicted co-conspirator. This person was called Person 3, and I'm going to read a few things from this complaint. Person 3 has a room and is bringing someone. He will be the quick reaction force. Oath Keeper friends from North Carolina are taking commercial buses up early in the morning the same night. They will have the goodies in case things go bad and we need to get heavy. Then it says Person 3 had maps. Person 3 created maps of the Capitol in order to map out where to go. He was the transit for actually bringing the guns and explosives to the meetup site in North Carolina. And this person who was literally transporting heavy weapons with a quote, planned to ferry heavy weapons across the Potomac, should that become necessary on January 6th, and distributing maps to find the quickest route to the Capitol, should those heavy weapons be needed. This person played the key role for the basis of the indictment of the entire Oath Keepers squad, never was charged, again, right there in North Carolina, right where the military should have been doing its counterintelligence and counterinsurgency work. We know Mark Milley said to Gina Haspel, the head of the CIA, on November 9th, 2020, just 2 months before January 6th, that there was a right-wing coup afoot and something needed to be done to stop it. Mark Milley would not just go back and sit on his thumbs if that's what he said to the CIA director. They would be infiltrating those very groups, and they would be doing it right there in North Carolina, where Fort Bragg is, and exactly where they said the meetup point for January 6th was. So my question is what is so scary about the Fedsurrection theory, given North Carolina's role in it, that the senator from North Carolina is the one blocking it?